Good morning, good evening.
Hi. I have to multitask a little because I have to let some people in. So sometimes.
No problem. No problem.
Like I think because the last time that we sat together, like I could really go through some process some things, and it's so good because now when well, it was also related to you know, with Andres, who I was dating and stuff, and yeah, now I really feel like I can just meet him as a person again. Yeah,
Fantastic.
without, yeah, it feels so good. Thank you for that.
Mm. You know, so I mean, to me, it's just like an ongoing inquiry of just any time where, you know, there's a chance to just sit quietly and just noticing anywhere where the system is putting pressure on itself, where the system is contracting. No right, no wrong, no good, no bad, but just a gentle noticing, you know, like there's so many habitual, subtle ways in which it does it, yeah? And just simply by noticing, something happens. So we're not trying to change anything, we're not trying to fix anything, we're just noticing where there's like an unconscious habit, yeah?
Yeah, and also I think in this it was connected with yeah, some ideas about why he did some things in a certain way and what that means. And then like I felt like, because actually when I see him I feel a lot of love, and I felt I couldn't, I had to block that somehow because I was angry, of course, or yeah. So yeah, and now there, yeah, and it feels so good to just stay with that feeling. Yeah,
And
and
also
not,
take care of yourself. You know, it's like there's love, and there might still be unconscious patterns that play in a way that your system needs to take care of itself. And that's like, it's not even a paradox. It's just, I could say it's wisdom. You know, we're not blind. There can be love, and there can also be patterns that are playing that.
yeah, it doesn't mean that, like, for example, we were kind of like together, whatever that had, or we were seeing each other, and yeah, it doesn't feel good anymore, like that. And then, so then I, you know, I said I have to stop it for that reason. But it doesn't mean that there's no love anymore at all, actually.
Exactly. So that's an untangling. That's a beautiful untangling.
Yeah, and it's, I could really experience, I just spoke to him just now and I could really experience that. And yeah, it's because it immediately like goes, yeah, it's not connected to having to see each other even like in that way, or yeah.
so, you know, like, so when hurt happens, somehow there's a pattern that's playing personally. So, you know, it can happen in any of us, so that confusion, basically, you know, something happens and it's like some old information translates it that, oh, there's something wrong with me, I'm not lovable, or whatever it does, yeah. But ultimately, you know, it's just a pattern. It is a pattern playing, usually automatically and unconsciously, so the person has no choice. And it has nothing to do with them or us. But what locks it in place is something in us thinks that the person has a choice about it. And when we think they have a choice, and it's a tricky one, when we think that they have a choice, that they could have not done that, how our system responds is an upset. Then we don't have a choice but to get upset. The moment we think they have a choice, and just check it out, it sounds a bit strange, but just
No, yeah, this is
you know,
completely true, because that is what made me angry, because or like upset, because it feels he could have done differently, and chosen differently,
and
but he didn't.
Yeah, he didn't, yeah.
But
And
also
then,
then I have expectations, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting. Yeah. So there's layers to it for sure. So there would be expectations, but the thing is, the idea that they could have done it differently, and it's a persistent belief. It's like, wow, they could have, but then we don't seem to notice that we didn't have a choice about getting upset. Until there's a seeing, oh, this upset is projecting outwards, that puts my happiness in their hands, then it can kind of, that upset can get softer. But until that, there is no choice in it. And yet we think they have a choice.
Yeah,
and if you look really deeply,
it's just life happening, and that I made it personal also to him, that he and obviously it's just life kind of doing its thing.
Yeah, and unconscious patterns playing.
Yeah.
And so that's another nice distinction that I found over the years, is just, are we upset with the person, or are we upset with an unconscious pattern playing in the person? It's a useful distinction. Yeah.
And somehow rationally I could see that, because I know, of course, but I couldn't, but part of me didn't, like part of me still got upset. So that's obviously also a
part of you
pattern.
believed,
Yeah.
something believed that he had a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really felt like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
but to me, what helps to see that they didn't have a choice is like when someone acts a certain way like that, and it's painful to us, for sure it's painful to them too. And if there was a choice, why would a person choose to suffer?
is it always like that? That when one person
If
suffers?
if someone treats you less than the beloved, or less than unconditional love, it's for sure that's painful. Isn't it? When you treat anyone as less than love, isn't there a price to be paid?
Well, but sometimes when you, for example, say no, someone can be hurt, but it can still be that you made that decision, that no from so then
Great question. So now we're looking at being able to set a boundary without making someone wrong. If we make someone wrong when we're setting a boundary, there'll be unhealthy shame that's touched. If we just say no, there will be shame, but it's a shame that assists the person to get new information. And yes, there might be some discomfort with it or some shame, but it's healthy shame. So those are important distinctions in my view, anyway.
Yeah, I get it, because someone even can be, you know, like emotional or crying, but it's more like a release or something. It's actually beneficial on the deeper level. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because then it would just be like, for example, if I would feel like something is not working for me, I can say that and leave it with me.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the person can maybe think that that pattern thinks that it's them or something, or there comes sadness, but it's in the deepest sense, it's not like that.
No, exactly. Because you're self-referring. You're talking about yourself. You're not making them wrong. So it becomes an invitation.
Yeah, and I noted, I now also feel that is also what it made me difficult for me, because it feels like, for example, in his case, to get into this story a little bit, he felt like very depressed and very like low and not sure about anything, and in this kind of like dark hole circle. And that doesn't really work for me. Like, I've tried, you know, to see if I can help him, and it doesn't work, and I don't want to be in there with him. So then but I also feel bad, because I feel in a way that then I am abandoning him, and then saying, of course, that it is his choice to stay like that. Then it makes, then it's
that's
his
a
fault,
double
not
one.
mine.
Yeah, then it's a double whammy. Yeah, it's his choice, and yeah, no one would choose that. There's something playing that. Yeah, but you know, like, it's, to me, it's like this. If you go to the ocean and there's big waves and you see somebody out in the ocean and they're drowning, and you check in with yourself, man, I don't have the capacity to swim in that water. You're not abandoning the person. You know, you see, you would love to help, but you see that you don't have that capacity. So now if somebody's in a cycle, or, you know, like something going on where they depressed and they can't come out of it themselves, and you check and you see, look, there's not the skillful means, there's not the capacity here to assist. I find that wisdom in a way. It doesn't feel good because there's
I think with him, it's also like a part doesn't want to be alone, because I feel so alone. So I know that I'm, you know, it feels to me that I abandoned that part, but I know that in one hand he really needs, like, craving, of course, for like someone to be with him. But and so still, like, yeah, but I'm not sure if it's the capacity not to be. No, I don't have the capacity, because it feels horrible to me. But then I feel maybe I should feel horrible with him, because otherwise he feels it alone, you know.
Okay, so let's look at that. If So by capacity, I mean, of course, if you're present with him and there's compassion, means feeling with, you would feel that with him. But if something in your system then also gets sucked down, if there can be a remaining as awareness, and that feeling can be there without you going with it, that's one thing. But if something in you goes with it, then it's like going to save a drowning person and they pull you under and you both drown.
Yeah, and that is so interesting, because that is actually why I could now actually be with him, because somehow, and that's because I now decided like not to be with him in a kind of like a romantic way, or like, or to hang out with him like that, but just as like, yeah, it's all concepts maybe, but just as friends or something, and that changed. And then I do have the capacity to be there. And yeah,
I say, how beautiful. You know, the other thing is this, is that in my experience, if someone's in a vortex like that, and they're not reaching out for assistance, and then usually if you trying to help them when they're not reaching for assistance, it doesn't work. They maybe get some temporary relief that, you know, you're a distraction for them or an addiction for them or something like that, but it actually makes things worse.
yeah, and that is why I think I could also feel that on one level it's actually good that he's on its own now, because he can only do it himself, or like, you know what I mean.
And yeah, so or he can do it if he reaches and says, listen, I'm struggling here, because that takes a certain vulnerability and a certain, oh, okay, wow, I see that you know, it's like, I'm not using you, it's an invitation, and that invitation, I'm pretty sure your system would respond to if it was a clean invitation like that. But if it's not, then we need to discern. Something needs to discern. Okay, cool. Where does it fit for me?
Yeah, and that is exactly what I felt. Yeah, because it felt
Look,
so much.
it's such it's such a common dynamic that we go into relating as a rescuer. I'm going to rescue someone, and then they're going to be, but it's a bargain. It's actually coming from a very immature place in ourselves that wants to have a codependent connection to feel secure. I'm your rescuer, and now you owe me. So it's like,
and we had exactly the same going on last year, of course, and then we didn't see each other for like 6 months, and then we tried again, and then in the beginning it was really nothing, of course, was there, but he sinks down into that, and then exactly then that pattern from me comes of, and then I could really feel, wow, this is really
not healthy for you.
very not healthy, like, so in that way it's really good. I feel very and I'm also really happy that I can feel that I wish him well again, because it's so a terrible feeling to hold a grudge.
I find it beautiful. I'm curious just to get a gallery review for a moment and just check in with the Sangha and see if this was useful for anybody, if anyone got any value from it.
Oh, I can't put it on gallery because then it will be in the recording, but I see some hands on the top. So
there's a lot of hands.
Oh,
Ah, Frank.
Hello, Isaac.
Hi, Frank.
I was watching my mind going through some memories through the last days, and what I remembered was that there was a situation when this German politician said that the vaccination will be for everyone, around that, a bit later maybe. I found myself in a situation where I was very alone and isolated for quite a while. And it was the feeling that I cannot cope it or cannot live anymore with all that. And there was also a bit later the experience like I'm gonna die, or I'm already in a dying process or something. And there were some things going on, and I have the feeling that it was very traumatic for the system. And after that, a lot of things changed in the perception and all that stuff. I was also looking for some, traumatic things.
Yeah, so you seen clearly. So it touched old trauma and actually re-traumatized. So in this moment, just as you're resting here now, just very gently scanning and noticing the sensations in your bodying activity. Very gently, no right, no wrong, just anywhere in the where there's subtleties, when you just allow them to be included in this one.
And there is like a trembling bit, and it's feeling cold somehow, and it's contracted.
Yeah. And then recognizing that these sensations are arising now from memory, so this is your nervous system's response to a memory. It's not related to this moment. Just to make that distinction. Nothing right about it, nothing wrong about it. And then discerning, this is how your system dealt with it at that time. And just seeing if in this moment it needs to deal with that. If that dealing with it is actually necessary or useful in this moment. So we're now making a distinction between something was happening and your system responded. And your system wasn't the only one. There were a huge number of suicides, people really not able to cope with the response. And that's what's being discussed now in many circles, is like how much damage was caused by the response to the so-called pandemic. Compared to what was actually happening from the pandemic, because the numbers were actually quite small. From the data that I'm seeing. Other people might have different data, I don't know.
Yes, I also heard about these numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, you know, in retrospect, we can see that the media really tried to get everybody terrified so that they couldn't think rationally. And then all these, I mean, I don't know how it was in Germany, but in a lot of countries, all these, a huge campaign of getting celebrities to say, yes, I'm doing it, or do your bit so that you don't kill grandma, or, you know, it's like all that stuff. There was a lot of propaganda and spin, trying to make people feel guilty and all that stuff, you know, all the stuff. That's why a lot of people felt so alone. But it was, yeah, whether, you know, that was done intentionally or not, or whether it was just ignorance, we didn't, you know. I guess everybody has their theories. But for sure, it touched trauma in a lot of people in many different ways. But so all we're doing now is looking in this moment. Okay. What residue is there in the nervous system? And honoring it, because, you know, somehow it's trying to help us. But with trauma, a lot of times, you know, like our system gets stuck in a certain response. It doesn't see that it's not necessary in this moment anymore. That's one of the facets of trauma. So now we're just discerning in this moment, is it okay just to be present? Is it okay just to be here? Just in that inquiry, just seeing what happens in your system, where it goes, yes, but, you know, there is still danger from that level of consciousness that wants to do that. Force itself on everybody. But then looking if that kind of response actually assists us in this moment.
Yeah, in this moment, it's inappropriate.
Yeah, that's a beautiful distinction. And then just seeing how your nervous system responds to that clear seeing. Because it might be subtle at first.
Yeah, it's getting softer and
yeah,
it's calming down.
And to me, it's like, it's beautiful that it's moving in the direction of softness, but then, like, as it gets quieter, we come in touch with other layers of sensation. It's just so gently, you know, so like, okay, now it's like you take off the top layer and then you feel the other layers underneath. It's, at least for me, it is like that. You know, and so it's just getting more, and that as the layers come off, of course, it assists us to get finer in our inquiry. Yeah? I don't know how you sense it at the moment, but I can feel your system is actually releasing. It feels to me like your system is releasing trauma at the moment. So it's,
Yeah. Cannot actually say what happens, but it's somehow levitating or
mm,
inside.
mm.
There seems to be another layer that somehow there was a resistance to it. What is like, I want to be heard with my voice, with my little voice.
Mm. Yeah, so that's, you see, that's in the next little layer, because what I'm seeing anyway is that, you know, quite a number of people got activated and got scared and then responded from an existential place because in them a trauma was touched.
Mm.
And it seems quite difficult for many of those to admit that they made a mistake. You know, so it's like, and that's an interesting phenomena. You know, my sense is whenever a nervous system gets existentially activated, it will act in ways that later it sees was not appropriate. But what allows that full completion of the cycle to actually acknowledge it and go, wait, I'm sorry, the way my system responded was based on trauma. It's, you know, it's like, and I'm sorry. Because that, you know, in a sense, completes the cycle. But, you know, we'll see how long it takes for the current consciousness to get to that point where it goes. I mean, I'm seeing it, you know, there were some people that were very pro the response, you could say, including that everyone should get, that are now completely seeing, wow, I'm sorry, that was wrong. And they've come out now. And these are people that some of them were in high, you know, they were influential in the policy that got made. And they say, wow, I really didn't see clearly, I'm sorry. And of course, then they get slammed really hard. But it's happening. I mean, when I look, I think if all of us look in our lives, how many of us can see that, you know, when our systems have been triggered, we've acted in ways that are quite crazy, or, you know, like, yeah. So, you know, I'm sure I can find that, geez, very easily. So, yeah.
Yeah, actually, there was in my situation, there was trying to convince family members not to listen to the panic makers, and
Yeah,
there was also it felt also existential for me in that situation.
yes,
So
of
it was
course.
the other side.
Yeah. So existential organization meets existential organization. Communication is not possible. It's clear.
Yeah.
And then that leads even deeper into the existential vortex, because fuck, they can't hear me, you know, it's like I don't have a voice, all that stuff. But ultimately, you know, when we come out of it, like now, it's an amazing opportunity that's happened for humanity, for consciousness. Eh? If it doesn't go in the direction of I'm right and you're wrong and all that stuff, it just goes, wow, here we are, human beings, you know, dealing with life. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
Yeah. From gallery view again, I'm just curious if this was useful to anybody in just talking this way about what we've all been through from different sides. But thanks for bringing it, Frank. Jennifer.
Hi, Isaac.
Hey, Jennifer.
Everybody. Oh, along the lines of what Frank was speaking, not to do with the vaccine, but that movement to get away from intense sensations. My body is going into such a freeze right now.
Okay.
And it's, I'm saying it like looking for to connect with a system that can hold the space that says it's okay to be with this, something like that.
Beautiful, Jennifer. So just to, how beautiful that your system, there's a noticing of your system's response. We were just talking about something that was existential on the planet, yeah? Huge.
Mm.
And there's residues in many of our systems. You know, we've certainly explored some layers of it, but it's still going to touch many, many layers of it, you know.
Well, this freeze for me, I mean, this started this morning. This, for me, this isn't about that subject. Yeah. It's just something that's showing up in my system. And
okay, so then you're noticing it. Cool. And noticing any wanting it to be different.
Yeah.
So, and then recognizing that there's an interest and making the distinction between wanting to get rid of it and an interest to explore it. That's a useful distinction that we hear. I could feel that your system, something responded to that distinction. And then as we're exploring it now, just looking to see, and maybe you can see and maybe you can. Is this from this lifetime? Is this inherited? Is this, yeah,
No, I think it's from this lifetime.
okay. Okay. See, even if you can find where this was triggered in this lifetime, I'm just curious of the source of it, because sometimes the source can be old information from generations back, but then that is played in this lifetime because it's being carried. So just, yeah. So gently looking at your ancestry and seeing if in your close family, if you can find this level of freeze anywhere.
Yeah, I can. It's sort of just how both, I would say both my parents, but my mother would put the brakes on. I mean, it's just kind of how my system learned to.
Okay, because I was picking it up that this was inherited. Even, you know, so, you know, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just, to me, that's what came on my radar when I asked the question, just to bring it into consciousness. And so then if it's inherited, just making the distinction that you're not your mother. So you're just starting to, okay, I get that that's how her nervous system survived. And maybe there's been an interest to explore, and probably not in her. But that at this point, just to recognize that you know, like just making the distinction, so that some way there's that link. There's no longer a need to be loyal to that link. It's like, okay, I get it. Okay. Just see how your system responds to that invitation. Just, okay.
Yeah, I feel like I can breathe.
Yeah. And so to me, that means we're seeing clearly, so to say, and then just getting a sense that it's okay for you to be able to breathe, that it's actually, yeah, it's great. Across all domains and dimensions, it's okay for you just to be at peace, breathe, enjoy. You know, a lot of those links have been with us all our lives, so they're so taken. It's rare that we're even aware that they're there. So once there's another thing, oh, there's a freeze. Wow, okay, and then there's already a little bit of distance. Man, that's fantastic. Otherwise, it's just like, you know, solid identification. I'm frozen. There's something wrong with me. In this case, it's no. Actually, it's okay to breathe. It's okay to, you know, that link is not necessary any longer.
Yeah, I just, there's something, a new layer showing up that obviously wants to be held or looked at, but that old response goes into, like not happening.
So just being present to what's left of that freeze and just sensing how your system is, because there's quite a lot of happening in the nervous system. So there's a reintegration, and part of it is, I mean, there's more breath, but there's also some different sensations that are there, with other layers of information, I would say it like that. Like, I'm feeling in my solar plexus is, which has to do with the right to be you, and dealing with authority, so to speak, where somehow it doesn't know quite how to deal with authority, kind of still on its back foot, so to speak, around authority. So I don't know if that resonates for you. It's just
Not too much.
not too much, okay. To whatever extent, it doesn't have to be much. I reckon all of us have some, having gone through the school system and not being treated fairly or equally, or all the kind of craziness in this life about skin color, about being a woman. I mean, there's just, if there's none, I would say you'd be a very rare human being.
But what does that have to do with the reaction?
Of freezing?
Yeah.
Shit, I mean, look, if you're not treated as an equal within your family, within your society, within society at large, wouldn't it carry some existential component?
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You better not speak up because you're a woman, or you better not speak up because you're not supposed to have an opinion, or you're not supposed to.
It just seems like my system learned just anything that showed up, it wasn't safe to be with any of it.
Yeah. And it's been gently learning. So and that not being safe to be with it, was that inherited or conditioned or passed down? So.
Yes, and yes.
And a lot of it, you know, was implicit. In other words, we just watched how our parents dealt with stuff. They might never have said anything explicit about it, but implicitly, energetically, you could say.
And how do you read my system from when we started till now?
There's, in my view, there's movement for sure, and there's aliveness starting to come in to some frozen components. At least that's how it feels, yeah. And there's more. I mean, you know, it's just there's usually layers to all this stuff, and so we can just
And
enjoy
layers
the
and
next
layers and layers.
the next layer that shows up. And again, you know, for me, it's so important to recognize that ultimately, even though, you know, there is benefit to ourselves in doing it, but there's benefit to the entire field. And so, you know, it changes the context of exploration that when it's actually for the benefit of all beings. It's just it's useful to recognize that. You know.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't I don't look at it like only this system. This is every system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just feels like hell in this system.
Just how's it at this moment? It's coming back. This right.
Starting to calm down, soften a bit.
Yeah.
It almost feels like it's touching a very young layer of, yeah, not having someone to hold the space for to touch any traumas or touch anything actually.
I'm just checking in this moment if there is space to touch whatever's coming. So coming to current time, present time.
Yeah, there's more space.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We were very alone in, you know, like most of our parents never, even when there was, you know, like love and some functionality, there wasn't the capacity of dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
Usually there would have been an implicit instruction to not go there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's when the gripping comes up in the system. Here is that huge message, like, don't even consider this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost felt like it was a burden on them to even because I wanted to feel, I wanted to express, and I wanted to feel, and it was definitely not welcome.
I've been exploring, and an old memory came up of I had this little dog that I really had a deep connection with, and it used to sleep in my bed with me. So I was sharing dream time with it. And, but my dad loved to come and tuck me in at night and just give me a kiss when I was asleep. And this dog felt threatened by it and would growl at him. And so one time when I was away somewhere for a few days, my dad gave the dog away without permission from me and without telling me about it.
Mm.
So, for me, that was a heartbreak. But the secondary layer of it was somehow how the heartbreak touched my dad, and how then my dad's system kind of instructed me how to deal with heartbreak.
Mm.
So it was like, 2 layers, I could say. So, and it was just untangling those layers. It was really useful for my system. I mean, I'd forgotten about it long ago. But suddenly it was there again, and just recognizing it wasn't only the betrayal, but the instruction on how to deal with betrayal.
Mm.
Layered like everything is, yeah.
Mm.
Second. Hey Tarun, I'll be done at 9 o'clock. I'm just tuning in what's left of that freeze, if there's anything left of it.
Yeah, there's some left over. It feels less. Feels a bit of sadness around it.
Yeah. Gently being present to the sadness. Just feeling the depth of that sadness, because
Sorry, can you say that again?
just feeling the depth of that sadness.
Yeah, it kind of feels like my system doesn't want to actually go into that depth fully.
Yeah, that's okay. Just good to recognize that. No push, no effort, no. Just that gentle noticing. And that not wanting to go into the depth of the sadness, was that conditioned or was that? Yes. Where did that come from? Totally fine that it's there, but just inquiring, yeah.
I think it's conditioning to not feel your feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. So just honoring that and then just seeing what's appropriate in this one. Yeah.
Actually, it feels good to feel the feelings.
For I had a feeling like if I touched them, it was like I was bad. I kind of had that layer. And that layer comes from my father for sure. well, that's what kind of was showing itself when I was looking at that, with the dog and like the sense of betrayal, and then out of love for my dad. Okay, I won't go there because then he has to face that he actually wasn't cool the way he did that, and it left a residue in my system. Beautiful to see it, not to blame him. He had no choice in that.
Sure.
Grateful that don't have to keep traveling with that in my system.
Put that one down. Thanks. Thank you, Isaac.
No, thank you. It's beautiful. Bless you. Sissy. Hi. Sissy, on the bottom left is a little red button. If you press
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
now.
Oh my God. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. This is actually I heard this evening you told about a reaction that is from the system that is really ridiculous. That's what I noticed. That's what I noticed sometimes, and it seems it does not help me or the other person. And just a little example, because perhaps we can. I wanted to slow down a little the movement because yeah, yesterday somebody a friend, I really like him, I don't know him so long, but he spelled my name wrong. He spelled Sissy with a Y. And I was like, what the fuck? You know me for 4 months and now you spell my name wrong. I was like, huh? And then suddenly there is some hurt feeling, a feeling of great rejection, I think something like that, or trauma. And I was like, okay, ciao, I don't want to see you anymore. If you cannot spell my name good, and I was like, huh? And he was like, I have no glasses, I just typed the wrong letter. But I was really so angry, and this morning, and he told me, what's going on?
Mhm.
And this is not the first time this is happening to me. I know this, but it's going so fast. I cannot. What? Yeah, I still think it's ridiculous. He spelled my name wrong.
But now you're laughing.
Yeah, it's really so funny. It's really so, because it's overreacting, the system.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's so overreacting. I mean,
And so how to be gentle with that overreacts. So you see it.
yeah,
You see it clearly. It's not up to you. If it was up to you, it would not function that way, clearly. So
yeah,
this
I know.
response, yeah, this response is coming from the unconscious somewhere, yeah?
Yeah. Yes. So I notice it, and then and I'm not gonna punish myself because I know it's
No.
happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
And today I told him, yeah, I know, I'm sorry because it's really
Yeah.
overreacting.
Wow, how beautiful, Susie. So that's, look at that. That's a really,
Yeah.
you know, like something is happening. Yeah. And there's a curiosity.
Yeah, I'm really curious because I want to feel the pain, or I want to connect to the pain and not what, because it's hurting, it hurts so. I don't know what the trauma is actually. I don't know why. I mean, I feel happy and then boom, it's happening. It's
So, yeah, just check and see if this word fits or not. It's like a sense of betrayal almost.
yeah,
Like he's betraying the love or the depth of your meeting by being careless.
careless, yeah. It's about not being seen.
Yeah.
I think it's a really great fear of rejection or something
it's-
like,
or you know, like, and not a really honoring, like not feeling really honored.
yeah,
Like, you know, so it touches this thing of, wow, there's nice feelings here and there's enjoyment, but it's not valued, it's not honored. It's like, that's why I said the word betraying. It's betraying
yeah.
something that's beautiful.
I was like, are you
being-
being blind? Are you in your bed blind? Sleeping? Oh. Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny for me, and a lot of times I look at, you know, I type something and then the computer auto-corrects or something, and it's not what I wrote at all. And then if I don't notice it and I send it, of course, somebody's going to go, what?
But I cannot stand when my name is Sissy and then it's with the Y, Sissy boy, like Sissy boy. It's really so wrong.
Yeah.
And he's also a teacher of the Dutch language. I was like, huh, you are a teacher of the Dutch language. How can this happen?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's such.
So there's a touch, yeah. Something
It's a
gets
touch,
touched.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a
It's
touch.
a touch. And I
Just
cannot
gently.
think then. I'm like in a brain that cannot think.
That's absolutely, and at this moment you can, so that's beautiful.
Yeah. But how can I avoid this? I do not like myself in this reacting.
Yeah. So just in this moment, just tuning in, feeling in the system, just what sensations are here now. You know, now there's enough distance to it, you can just
I feel
rest,
free.
yeah?
I can feel anything now. So it's flowing.
It's
It's
flowing. Okay.
flowing. Yeah.
Again, whether it's you or me, I have no idea, but I feel something in my belly. So
Yeah.
and something also like in a very quiet way in my heart that kind of like this, I could term it sadness, but it's just like a frequency or something like that. But you know, again, that's just the way my system interprets it. It may or may not have anything to do with you. Just maybe it's useful just to hear that's.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm really. Yeah. And then I want to have the other to be heard also. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't want to see you anymore.
Yeah.
And then, well, it's really ridiculous, but
Yeah. I mean, you can see that that's
I can
that's
see
an
it.
automatic response that's
Yeah.
that is trying to help but makes things worse.
Yeah.
And so that's clear. You already see that. But now we're just going a little deeper with it and just, okay, so there's some sensations that up till now, the system compensates or goes into that way of functioning that's not appropriate anymore for you. You see it. We're just taking a few moments just to be present there. Just tracking, yeah, gently, not to change or fix, but curious. Just, yeah. You know, it's not touching an adult organization. The adult organization sees clearly, it sees it's inappropriate. It's touching a young response, yeah?
Yeah, it's something about a little girl or
Mm.
I don't know.
Mm.
Today I was helping a pupil with his homework. That's my job.
Mhm.
But I'm the owner, so I want to rescue him really, really fast. And he told his parents today, Sissy was really demotivating. It's not motivating. But I wanted him to have a good grade. I was like, "Ah."
Yeah,
And I thought that's a little, why do I want to rescue him so much? Because
yeah, yeah, beautiful. So you see,
it's so, it's something about in myself. I want to rescue, I don't want to rescue him,
him,
but
exactly.
I don't want to fail. It's like, I always have to succeed or something like that. I mean, why? It is not necessary.
Beautiful. Yeah. So again, just slowing down and feeling what gets touched. There's good intention, wanting, but it's out of sync with this pupil, and you sensing that. And so what's going on in consciousness, not even personally in you, there's just something happening where it hasn't up till now been able to be present with that.
I think it's about feeling safe. Safe.
Yeah.
Something in my system is like, oh, what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah. And just being gentle with that. And again, we have no idea to see whether this comes from, whether it's from your ancestry, something that happened for them. All we know is that your system is responding
Yeah.
in a way that you can see is not appropriate to the circumstance. And that there's
Yeah,
no
it does not
control
matter
over
where
it.
it comes from. I know it is something in my system, but it's in movement, so it's good news. I
Yeah.
feel it's getting more.
More information, it's getting
Yeah.
touched, it's getting seen.
Yeah,
We're not trying to solve it, we're honoring it. There's a recognition that it's not in tune with the way you love to be.
yeah,
And it's being met gently. It's okay. It's not wrong, it's not bad, it's just an opportunity again, that's it. Not only for you, but for, I'm sure all of us can identify and recognize where that happens in ourselves, where something responds inappropriate to what's actually going on in the moment.
so it's I lose connection with my soul or something like that. I feel. I mean, I am love, but today also with that pupil, I'm like. I told him, "Oh, I'm really so. You missed the whole basis of the German language." He was like, "Huh? I just made one mistake." This is not helping anybody. And then I told him, "But no worries, I'm gonna help you like a big saver." No, it's not good. No. So it's about building up some more trust, I think.
What's beautiful to see is you see it. There is a sense of humor about it. It's not taking yourself so serious around it. And
Yeah.
there's an interest to meet in a way that's appropriate, that's more skillful. And so there's a learning happening. It's beautiful.
There's learning.
And there's honesty in it. It's like, it's not justifying itself. It's just, oh, wow, I see it. And so a lot of beautiful things happening.
I love it too. Thank you.
Thanks, Ceci.
Thank you.
Ah, Barbara. Hi, Barbara.
Hi. Are your feet itching?
Hmm. I was just rotating my ankles from sitting a lot, so just, you sensed it and picked up.
I was seeing the movement.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I have no topic or something.
No problem. Lovely just to
And,
rest together.
yeah. Or you sent something where we should talk about, I don't know.
Thanks for the invitation. Yeah.
I'm always a little bit afraid that you say thank you first. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah,
feels,
I understand.
I mean, it's not a rejection, but it's a little bit like, yeah. So it always comes to my mind to say very soon, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we rest together, Barbara, what sensations, what comes on your screen, if anything?
Like there was a lot of joy.
Mm.
And then there was a strange feeling in the belly. Something. I have no words. It was like almost like a little shock or something. But then it
Then passes, yeah.
passed, yeah.
Mm.
Somehow energy was going to the head and it was kind of opening and something like that.
I was feeling that movement in the brain. It felt like to me.
Mm-hmm. Feels like hugging you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mm. It's come in my mind a few times just to do the Sunday meetings for an hour and a half instead of 2 hours, because I can feel a lot of people are quite tired. I don't know how that sits with you all, but Jennifer wants more, but some people. Ramanjali. Hi.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Do you see me okay? I'm just on the mobile.
Yeah, if you can just get your head a little bit more in the center of the screen, because
Wait a moment.
Yeah. Just,
Wait, I
yeah,
just called.
that's better.
Was it better?
Yeah, definitely better.
Just put the book behind. No, good.
Yeah, good.
Good morning, Isaac.
Good morning, Ramanjali.
Could you switch off, please, the recording?